Hey everybody, happy Friday. Thanks for coming to the live stream. So today I wanted to do a couple of interesting things. I got some new gear that I want to show off, and I'm trying a couple of new techniques. You might have seen on Instagram, if you follow me there, that I teased with a photo. Let me see if I can bring that up right now. Um, if I was like slightly more professional, I would have this ready. Um, but yeah, let me switch to this view. So um, what you should be seeing here now is a photo I posted on Instagram that shows the switch pod with my phone pointed at an iPad Pro, and you could see on the screen that my iPhone is being used as an input device. So that is something that I've been working on, which has been pretty exciting for me, I think. Mostly because I've been trying to experiment with um, different camera angles and different tools and stuff like that. So, in today's live stream, I'm going to talk about how I did that. I'll tease a video that I have coming out next week. I'll talk about the Stream Deck, and then I'll talk about a new microphone that I got for my my Sony A6400. I'm going to test that out a little bit since this microphone is like in my face. Um, I'm trying to see if there's a way where I can get the microphone less in my face while still having the same sound quality. That's really important to me. So first, let me tell you about the Stream Deck. So I'm just gonna hold it up right here. This is if you're like in my newsletter or anything like that. You probably have heard me talk about it, or if you've seen my videos. But this is the Stream Deck. It's a little device that allows you to easily switch between different scenes in OBS and do a couple of other things. It's basically 15 button shortcuts that you can create. So you'll see there is the live stream button that is, or the streaming button that's on, but you also see, for example, if I pull this back here and I switch to well, I'll do the iPhone scene. So I'll push that, and now it's switched to a feed of my camera. So that is one of my favorite things about this. I can easily switch between different scenes in OBS. You can also see that there's a couple of buttons down here. I use these to progress my slides in my course. And I've been working a lot with this because I want to make the editing process a little bit easier for both me and my video editor for my courses. Because I'm doing a lot more talking head videos. I'm adding slides to those talking head videos. It's not just screencasts anymore, and I don't want to have to put like minute notes every time I want to switch to a slide, or I don't want to like record the whole thing in ScreenFlow. I'm not sure really what my video editor actually uses. So I wanted to seamlessly switch with very little movement, very little mouse clicking between me, my face, and the rest of the scenes. So I have 4 scenes set up here. This is me as a talking head. This is screen sharing, which now you see like the bottomless pit of OBS here. I can switch to the screen with my face in the corner. And then the last one I added is the iPhone camera. So I've been super duper happy with the Stream Deck, and I've only really scratched the surface here. I have not done a whole lot with it. I want to do a lot more because I know it works with things like Keyboard Maestro and other streaming platforms like Streamlab and stuff like that. So I really want to. I think it works with YouTube Live, so like I can start and go live with the Stream Deck without having to be in YouTube Studio. Though I do like doing that because I want to make sure that what I think you're seeing is what you're actually seeing, even with the slight delay. Um, So that is the Stream Deck. I would strongly recommend the Elgato Stream Deck. I'm a big fan of it. And actually, what I'm going to do here is drop a link in the chat. I'll put this in the description of the video too when it's done, to some video resources that I've created, including a little shopping list if you are interested. Because all the gear I'm going to be talking about here is listed in one of these kits. I have like a starter kit and an advanced kit. Um, so hopefully that'll be helpful to you. I also have a couple of YouTube videos if you haven't seen them on how I set up my camera and how I easily switch between OBS and Keynote, or how I easily switch between Keynote and my face using OBS and the Stream Deck. So I just wanted to showcase that really quick. The other thing, I was experimenting with this. I created. Let me grab. Because we're live, hooray. So I got the Magic keyboard for the iPad 11 inch. The 11-inch iPad Pro is the official name of it. I've been using it for a couple of days and testing it and stuff like that, but I wanted to make a video. Um, I wanted to make a video where I kind of like unboxed it. I don't really do unboxing videos, but I did want to give my thoughts, and I figured this would be a good opportunity to kind of showcase the device with my face, like without having to do um, too much switching or editing. And so I have a iPhone 11 Pro Max, which shoots 4K video, and I was wondering if there was a way that I could use the iPhone as a second camera. Well, with OBS, there is a plugin called OBS Camera. I will remember to link to that as well. That you download for OBS. Oh, it's just obs.camera. You download that for OBS on your Mac or your PC, and then there's an iOS app of the same name. So you open that app, it brings up the camera, it looks for a USB connection, and then you can create a scene using uh, OBS and your iPhone. So what you see right now is actually coming from my iPhone on the switch pod, and I'm doing that to show the next piece. But if I just turn this around so you could see me, lots of behind the scenes stuff you're seeing here. So let's see. Here we go. Yeah, that's me. So now I am using my phone as a webcam or as a second angle. Now there is a problem here if I like move this around too much. Um, the frame rate isn't super great because I am trying to stream 4K with a good frame rate, and it's a live stream right now. But in the video I recorded yesterday, I'm gonna switch. This is ridiculous. Um, in the video I recorded yesterday, I did notice that there were a couple of things I wanted to improve, and I actually had to shoot like some B-roll. Uh, Probably can't hear me very well right now. There we go. So I actually had to shoot some B-roll of the iPad because some of the video from that iPhone camera wasn't usable. And like the app says, like 4K is untested and the frame rate I'm trying to use is untested. But I figured it would be a good experiment, and it didn't take a whole lot of time to cut it all together. I recorded a couple of videos with the iPhone. I did the talking head thing with this camera setup with my lighting and stuff like that. So it wasn't too bad. I edited it all together in Final Cut Pro X or 10X. Um, and that is because my normal screen editing software, or my video editing software, ScreenFlow, despite their claims that it does, like, that it can handle 4K, um, I don't. I have only had bad experiences with it on 4K. Um, Even using like their proxy settings. So what I've been doing basically is recording my screencasts with ScreenFlow because it's really good for that, and I do like it. Um, but any like long form talking head videos I have been editing with Final Cut Pro because it works a lot better. So let's see. So that was the Stream Deck, which is like my absolute favorite thing right now. The OBS camera um, add-on using my iPhone as a camera for OBS. The other thing I've been experimenting with, if we can switch views here again, which you got a sneak preview of, is I picked up um, the Rode Video Micro, and I did this because I want to be able to record a video without necessarily having to have this microphone in my face. This is an autofocus lens. My A6400 is an autofocus lens. So what you might see sometimes is my face gets a little blurry, and the microphone is actually in frame or in focus. So I've been experimenting with that a bit. That said, I was messing around with the audio or with the microphone. I have it connected now. So if I mute my UA Arrow and I talk to the Rode mic, you have probably noticed a considerable difference in the audio quality. And that's because, this is further away. So if I take this so that you know there's no trickery, even though you definitely know there's no trickery. There's a bigger distance. The wall behind the camera is not treated the same way that the area around me where this microphone is treated. So it's probably a little bit echoey. It's not as good as a quality a microphone in general. The Shure SM7B is a very, very good microphone. And so, and my Shure SM7B is hooked up to my interface, which has a lot of processing going on the actual device. So you're getting a cleaner feed and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm probably going to mess around a little bit. I might put some soundproof panel like right behind the camera. If I switch to the scene. The sound behind me doesn't bounce back into the microphone, but because of the distance, because of the quality of the microphone, and because of there's just less treatment behind it, I'm not getting as good audio quality. I don't know that I would use this in a YouTube video. Now that said, no, this is on an arm, right? So I can bring it closer to me. Maybe I'll tilt this up a little bit. This is probably more than you bargained for when you signed up for this. Okay. So maybe with it closer to me, it sounds a little bit better, but you're still not going to get the same quality that you would get from the Shure SM7B. So let's see. I'm going to switch back to my UA Arrow. My Shure SM7B. So again, you're gonna hear a much different audio quality there. So that was the stuff that I kind of wanted to cover. I had some new gear. I wanted to show it off in a less, let's say, produced way. This is just something I wanted to do and I wanted to try out. I've been trying out a lot of stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. I have been getting a bunch of questions about podcasting that I wrote down in my handy dandy notebook. So for people who are submitting questions either via email or something else, I do get those questions. So some of the questions I've gotten around podcasting, not necessarily gear, but podcasting in general. How long should my episodes be? The general convention is 25 minutes is the average length of a podcast episode, but make it as long as you think it should be. Don't sell your content short just to hit that 25-minute mark. 25 minutes is comes from the fact that like that's the average length of a commute, and most people are listening to podcasts on their commute. But Joe Rogan's podcast is like, I don't know, 100 hours long. Um, you have some that are like 5 minutes long. Mine average between 40 and 45 minutes long. So, make it as long as you need to be, uh, while hitting the points that you want to hit. When should I publish my podcast? That's another question I've been getting a lot, and again, that depends on your audience, your target demographic. So I put out my podcast Tuesday mornings at 3 a.m. Eastern time. That's midnight Pacific. So I did that because I noticed that that's when I was getting the most downloads, and so um, no matter who's listening to my podcast, they're probably going to have it in their podcast player on Tuesday morning when they wake up, either for their commute or their morning routine or whatever. So, um, but I know great podcasts that come out Sunday night. I know great podcasts that come out on Friday. There's one podcast in particular that comes out on Friday afternoon. It just sums up the news of the week with a panel. And so, it really depends on who you want to talk to, what you want to cover, and things like that. I think the more important part of that is make sure that it is consistent. So if you say weekly, try to do the same day. Well, actually, you should do the same day every week and make sure it actually is weekly. People come to, make their podcast part of their routine. So if you are going to be late, or if you know that you're going to be off one week, then make sure to communicate that clearly. I think that's the more important part. And then as far as gear you should get for your podcast, I know that I've just talked about a whole bunch of stuff here. The Shure SM7B is a lot of money. It's probably overkill if you're just starting your podcast. I had a Blue Yeti when I started my podcast, and then I grew, and as I started to do more voiceover work and more podcast stuff, that's when I started to upgrade my setup, because I know that I'm not great at audio editing. I knew that I needed something very forgiving of the environment, because you heard the difference between this and the Rode that's attached to my camera. I don't have a perfect environment for sound. I don't have a sound booth, and so I wanted something that um could handle all of that stuff. So I think starting out, the Rode Pod mic is a good one. I actually have that on my desk, right? Let's see if I can switch scenes for you. It's going to be really bright, but the Rode Pod mic right there. Um That's a decent microphone. It's $100. It is an XLR microphone though, which means you will need a interface. If you're just looking for a straight USB mic, the Blue Yeti is a good one. I've been recommending the ATR 2100. That is a very affordable and simple mic, and I know professional podcasters who will use that if they need to. Um, and I think anything, go above the built-in microphone or the one that's like in your headphones. You want to get a dedicated mic because you want to sound good. And the ones that I just mentioned are pretty forgiving of their environment. That's the other thing, right? Because if you're like recording in your living room or your kitchen, you're going to hear a lot of echo, right? So even more important than like a super good microphone is treating your environment, um, which you want to make sure that you're deflecting sound, that you're absorbing sound. It doesn't have to be soundproof, but you want to make sure that you practice good mic technique, like the 4-finger technique here. And if you can, don't just record in a big empty room. I've got some sound panels somewhere right here. I've got pictures on my wall. I do have some sound panels on the wall. That's very affordable stuff that will go a long way. I have a blackout curtain for my window. Um, all of these things combined will go a long way to treat your room, so that you're not just talking into a big echoey mess, because that is going to affect your audio even more than having like a super high end microphone. If you have a super high end microphone but it's still really echoey, there's not a lot that you can do about that. And then I've been getting there's been a lot of interest in my camera gear. So I did link the videos page, that's casabona.org/videos. That breaks down all of my gear. I have a Sony A6400. I chose that camera because I'm not a photographer, but a lot of YouTubers recommend it, because it's got really good autofocus. I have a lens on it that is, I think, really good. I don't know if I'm slightly out of focus here. Um, so, um, and I've been really happy with it. You do need a capture card or the Elgato Camlink 4K if you want to record 4K. That was the other reason I got this, because I knew I'd be doing a lot of live streams and recording um, talking head videos for my courses, and I want them to look good even a couple of years from now. So I opted for the 4K version. You'll also notice that I like moved the camera forward and adjusted the angle. I have it on a ball head and arm, so um, this is my whole camera setup. It's like an articulating arm. I refashioned it out of a monitor arm, and I got a couple of extra pieces that are mounting the camera. Um, so that was a little bit extra, but I really wanted it because I wanted to be able to frame my shot whether I was sitting down or standing up. Um, and I thought that was really important, and it was a neat project that was pretty affordable. There are a couple of really great videos I will link in the description or in the cards for this video. There's one in particular where like he builds like a whole camera setup on his desk that you can't see, it's out of frame. Um, so I have that flexibility. You also noticed probably at some point the box light that's like right beyond the camera frame. I have a smaller lighting source here that is kind of evenly lighting my face. I think lighting is also super important when you're doing these videos. Um, so there is oh backpacks of love in the chat room. Um, the cam link is sold out everywhere. Yeah, a lot of this video stuff is hard to come by. If you don't have the cam link and if you want 4K, I think the Elgato cam link is so important. I use the Elgato cam link um 4K. There is another capture card that Pat Flynn recommended. I don't know if that supports 4K. And I'm guessing since Pat Flynn recommended it, that's probably sold out everywhere too. Let me see if I could find that one um, real quick. But there are a few options, but you will at the 4K level, you will need some sort of capture card. From what I understand, you can't just plug in the camera to your computer and get a good feed. Now, if you are using like a Canon, I don't know if you need the capture card or not. I didn't need the capture card for my Canon DSLR. I used like a winning combination of Camera Live, which converted the Canon to a webcam, and then Cam Twist to accept that feed. Um, I have a video on that on the YouTube channel. Um, and I got a good looking picture. I mean, absolutely better than a webcam because the lens is really good, but it was still HD. So I think that that's important too. So, yeah, if you have a Sony A6400 or any 4K camera, well, I shouldn't say any 4K camera because like Canon makes a M50 4K camera. But at least with the Sony, from what I understand, you do need a capture card. So I would, since they are sold out everywhere, I would just keep checking. I know that people who are like selling them secondhand are price gouging like hardcore right now, but I would keep checking Elgato's website and Best Buy and Amazon to see when one crops up. Unfortunately, There's not much more you can do beyond that. I think that all of these vendors got like pretty slammed when all of this went down, and they weren't sure. Um, they just couldn't handle the demand because the demand got way faster or way bigger, way faster than they expected. Okay. So that's everything on the docket for me. Quick recap: the Elgato Stream Deck is my favorite new thing of the month. I am also experimenting with using my iPhone as a separate webcam, and I think it's working out pretty well. I think for like a still picture, it probably looks okay. Um, if you want to go for something that's moving a lot and really testing that frame rate, I think you'll probably get some pushback and some weird jaggy compressiness. Um, and then I was testing out the Rode Video Micro. I believe it's I keep messing up. They've got Rode has a problem like naming all of their stuff. They have like the Rode Pod mic and then the Rodecaster Pro and the Rode Procaster, and they're all different things, and it's all weird. But the Rode Video Micro is the one I have that's sitting on top of my camera, and I'll close out with that. So good. Mute the Shure. So, yeah. So now I'm talking to you through the Rode Video Micro. We'll see how it sounds. In my initial test, it definitely didn't sound as good as the Shure, but now that it's closer to me, in a slightly treated environment, maybe it does sound a little bit better. It is one that I'm recommending if you have nothing. It's definitely better than like the built-in camera. I'm also not using the wind screen on it. It comes with a wind screen, but there's no wind in here, so I'm not using the windscreen for that. But that's everything I have. If you enjoyed this live stream, I think you can subscribe, smash that like button or whatever. I'm live. I can't edit this out later. And then again, if you're interested in the video stuff that I've been working on, head over to casabona.org/videos. And there's like a free guide for good video gear and some tips. And there's a couple of other videos I created. So thanks so much for tuning in. And until next time, get out there and build something.